AR radio. Yeah. I have a repeat offender from Paratruth Radio. We're talking about his book, The Gryphon Project, and let's welcome Justin. So.
Hey, Jim, how's it going?
Not too bad. And you?
Good. Really good. We just got Paratruth Radio back up, and I just got Beyond Reason back up, so I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I noticed. I'm all excited for that. And well, like I said when we were talking beforehand, I basically got two questions, and the first one was, what inspired you to write the Gryphon Project?
The legendary creature project, The Gryphon, actually is a book that dates back to when I was in high school. I was writing a book about a genetic experiments for just myself. I was just kind of writing, and then I kind of left it because I put it on floppy disk, and floppy disks aren't even a thing anymore.
Right.
So I decided to just kind of reinvent the story. It's kind of inspired by, I don't know if anybody is familiar with the island of Dr. Moreau.
Oh yeah.
There's two movies made, and I believe it was a book as well. But that's kind of where it all started for me. Was I had seen that movie, the remake, and so I was kind of inspired by that. But I had kind of had this fascination with kind of mixing human and animal DNA for a while, and then getting into the paranormal community and conspiracy theories and all that stuff. You kind of start to learn that there's actually kind of this storyline that supposedly we have that going on right now.
Right. Yeah, well, when I was reading the book, all I was thinking about was like the Dulce base.
Yeah.
So, I just enjoyed the whole thing. Like I said, thought about the Dulce base, and I thought it was really awesome. And also, anybody that's like a fast reader could get through it like in a night or two, and which was great for me because I'm still working on my reading skills, to be honest. So, which was good for me. So, is there anything you want? Yeah.
Here's the thing. I like to write, but I'm not much of a reader, not anymore. It really takes a book that has completely got my attention for me to actually enjoy a book, and not only enjoy it, but want to read it, like not be able to sit down. So for me, the smaller books are actually a really good idea. A good friend of mine, Clayton Snyder, his books are just a little bit longer than mine, but they're still short enough that I got through it and I enjoyed it. So I agree. I think that the shorter books, I wouldn't necessarily call them novels. They're not big enough to be a novel, but the shorter books, I think, is a good idea for somebody who loves to write, but has that, that pace. Like my books take a pace where they're kind of fast, but at the same time, you can read it and get the full story without having to have too much explanation.
Right. And yeah, I noticed on like your pages and all that you did a lot of tours or signings or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, I did a book signing tour when I released the Gryphon, just to get promotion for the book. I went to a couple coffee shops and went to the library, and that actually kind of kicked off a huge thing for me because they actually offered to have me at the Comic-Con that they put together.
Nice.
This year it actually got bigger, where they rented out they call it the event center here, but it's basically the civic center, or whatever you want to call it, wherever you're at. But that has actually gotten me to the point where I am for starting the local writers group here, the Bizman Writers Guild as well, because I had met two really awesome writers at the first BizCon that I went to, which one of them I had mentioned, Clayton Snyder, and then another gentleman by the name of Bill, next to last name?
Yeah, don't feel bad. I can't pronounce your last name, so.
It's gonna kill me now. But anyways, he wrote a book called Warrior of Light, and his books are like epic size.
Oh wow.
Almost. Bill Hines, and that's his last name.
Okay.
He writes like 400-page books.
Wow.
And I'm reading the first one, Warrior of Light, and I mean it's hard for me to get through because I mean it is a good story, but it's a really big book. And you know, in this day and age where I'm at in my life, it takes a while for me to get through books, as I said, and on top of that, you know, I'm a busy person, so.
Right. Alright. Well, if you want to continue commenting on your book, that's great, but my next question would be, is way the book ended, I don't want to give away the ending just because if there's anybody that hasn't read it yet, or hasn't got to the end yet, I don't want to give it away, but way it ended, it looked like there was a part 2. Did you have anything in mind to write a part 2?
Yep, I'm actually working on the sequel right now. I just got through the first draft of it. I'm working through doing a second draft right now. The second draft is the Legendary Creature Project of Worm.
Nice.
And so it's going to actually be a trilogy, where the last one, the Legendary Creature Project, the God, and that one is actually going to be inspired by Egyptian mythology.
Nice.
The worm was inspired by Nordic mythology, or even Eastern Europe. The worm is basically a dragon without wings.
Right.
It kind of goes into Oriental mythology as well, because Japan has their dragons, their flying dragons as well, but their dragons don't have wings. They just kind of fly through the air, kind of like magic, I guess you could say. But mine was more based on the Nordic legends, because to me, I never really liked the Oriental dragons. I always had a thing for the European dragons.
Right.
I mean, specifically the winged dragon.
Yeah.
But I kind of wanted to go along the lines of the main character, Dr. York Hemshine. Using different mythology, because he didn't want to stick to just one specific type of creature or from certain form. So that's kind of where I had kind of headed with it, because I love all types of different mythology. Egyptian was one of my favorites growing up as a kid, learning about the legends of dragons and knights and all of that, and how the knights had to fight these creatures because they were kind of a pestilence on the land. So that's kind of where it all boiled down to me when I was coming up with a new creature. The Gryphon kind of links again to Greek and Eastern Europe mythology, and that's kind of where it stood. So that's why I decided to go with the last book with a different area altogether for for the god.
It sounds really interesting. It kind of reminds me of how you were describing the dragon creature off of the Never-Ending Story.
Sort of, yeah. I think that's kind of based on the more of the Asian culture type of dragon, because it is a dragon without wings, but he can still fly.
Yeah.
Falcor, and he's got like the doggish face, which kind of the Asian dragons, they have that type of weird face compared to what you see in medieval Europe.
Right. Yeah, the game I'm currently playing for my system is like Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls series, but they have wings though, so.
Right. Well, I love Skyrim too. I love the Elder Scrolls series just because they create a world in and of itself. And it almost seems like it's a different planet altogether.
Right.
They've got 2 moons, but they still have magic, and they've got elves and dragons and orcs. So it's kind of really, really interesting. And I had mentioned Bill Hines, and that's kind of his books too. They're not on or in our world. They're on a different world, or even a different universe, if you can call it that.
Right.
But they're the same concept. He names them a little bit differently, but it's still that same concept of pointed ears for elves and that sort of a thing, and shortish stature for dwarves, but still a kind of like strong physique. So I like those types of books, but I don't know why, but my go-to has always been science fiction.
Right.
I think that's probably kind of why I was the comic book geek as a kid, because I loved like the X-Men and more so Marvel, where they were kind of these scientific freaks, if you will,
right,
to an alien from another planet who kind of got his powers from the sun, or an intelligent billionaire who was a vigilante.
Right.
Nothing wrong with Superman or Batman, but for some reason my mind always went to the Marvel side, where it was kind of more genetics, or
right,
something like an alien.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm actually going to be looking forward to your next book. Hopefully, it's just as interesting, if not more interesting than the last one.
Yeah, I've actually been pretty impressed with myself for this next book, because you can really see where my writing has evolved. And when I released the first book, even though I thought it was good, I was done with it. I'm actually going to be releasing a second edition of the book, because I'm changing a couple of things, or just adding to the story, I should say. But I'm also going to be using different covers for both books, so that they kind of look similar in nature. So, and there's a backstory in book 2 that I really didn't include in book 1, so I kind of hinted that for book 1, where I went back after writing book 1, and as I started book 2, I'm like, I should really include some type of hint as to what's going on in book 2, because I don't want people to be completely lost.
Right. Well, is there going to be like a official release date, or are you still just doing the rough drafts for right now?
I had originally hoped by middle of October, but with being where I'm at with it right now, it'll probably I'm hoping to be done by around the beginning of December, so that way that it